Policeman stops a black officer. He never looks back once he rolls down his window. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. Officer Jack Thompson was out on his routine patrol in the little village of Riverton. It was a calm evening, the type when the occasional speeder or someone running a stop sign was the main source of excitement. Jack had been a police officer for more than 20 years and had seen it all. He took great satisfaction in his intuition and his capacity to understand people and circumstances. But those gut feelings would take him to an event that would change his life tonight. There had been prior complaints about Jack's alleged racist harassment, particularly directed at local black neighbors. He had received many warnings due to his reputation for profiling, yet he always avoided facing significant repercussions. But tonight, his unbridled prejudices will finally catch up with him. Jack saw an older model BMW traveling marginally over the speed limit as he drove along Main Street. The man driving, who was black, appeared to be rushing. Jack became suspicious. There had been a few break-ins in this area lately, so he was suspicious of a black man driving an expensive automobile at night. He made the decision to look into it. After turning on his lights, Jack stopped the BMW. With his palm resting on his holstered gun, he exited the cruiser and radioed in his location. As Jack got closer, the driver looked up looking surprised and then a little frustrated. "Good evening, sir," Jack remarked in an impartial voice. "Do you know why I pulled you over?" With a sigh, the man inhaled deeply. "No, policeman. Why did you stop me?" Jack's eyes became a little narrower. "You exceeded the posted speed limit. May I view your registration and license?" The man gave a slight squint, but he obliged, taking out his wallet and giving his license and registration. "My name is Emmanuel Adams. I was on my way home from my office." Jack looked at the paperwork carefully, but she wasn't convinced. "Step out of the car, Mr. Adams." Emmanuel's face became stern. "Is that really what's needed? Nothing I've done has gone wrong." "That's standard procedure," Jack firmly retorted. "Step out of the car." Emmanuel reluctantly left the room. Jack gave him a cursory frisking before indicating the cruiser. "I'll check your information. Stay at this place." Pulling out his phone, Emmanuel made a call as Jack headed back to his car. "This is Emmanuel. Hello, Mark. And police is pulling me over and acting as like I'm a criminal. Could you please visit the station?" Chief Mark Reynolds of the police department, on the other hand, saw right once how urgent the situation was. "Emmanuel, I'll be right there. Remain composed." Unaware of Emmanuel's call, Jack came back. "You're arrested for obstructing the administration of justice," he said, grabbing his handcuffs. Defiantly, Emmanuel lifted his hands. "What? I haven't taken any action." "Don't mislead me. You were pushing back," Jack angrily said. When Emmanuel spoke up, he began to cuff him. "You're committing a grave error. I'm close friends with the police chief." Jack sneered. "Yes, exactly. I find it hard to accept that a person such as yourself is close to the chief." Emmanuel was pushed violently into the cruiser by Jack, who drove to the station as his mind raced with ideas that confirmed his suspicions. Jack was taken aback to find Chief Reynolds standing there, obviously enraged. The chief yelled, "Officer Thompson, what the hell is going on?" Jack sought to justify himself. "This individual was attempting to struggle and elude, sir. He attempted to flee and was disrespectful." With composure, Emmanuel took a little gadget out of his pocket. "Chief, my automobile has a dash cam. Everything was captured on tape." When the chief seized the gadget and showed the tape, Jack's face became pale. It was evident that Jack had been unnecessarily aggressive and had arrested Emmanuel. "Jack," said the chief in a chilly tone, "you've crossed the line for the last time." The proof was unquestionable. The following several weeks passed quickly. Jack was sued by Emmanuel for wrongful arrest and racial profiling. The community was outraged when the dashcam footage was made public. Jack received a lot of criticism. His past grievances were unearthed, and this time there was no turning back the repercussions. His career was ruined when he was let go from the police department. In the meanwhile, Emmanuel's case brought attention to the Riverton Police Department's need for reform. Following a comprehensive investigation prompted by the complaint, New training initiatives and procedures were developed with the goal of eradicating racial prejudice. In addition to practicing law, Emanuel became an activist for civil rights, utilizing his background to drive legislative changes. In addition to altering his life, his meeting with Jack Thompson ignited a campaign for equality and justice in Riverton. Jack, on the other hand, had to face the consequences of his conduct. Though tough, the lessons he acquired were essential. He came to see that his prejudices had rendered him blind, causing him to act unfairly and harm innocent people. Ultimately, each of the soldiers was a character in a far bigger drama, one that was being written every day. The interaction marked a sea change and offered hope for a more equitable and better future. The little village of Riverton has changed significantly. A civil rights task group had been monitoring the police department, and it had started making long-needed adjustments. All officers were required to wear body cameras, and frequent training sessions on de-escalation and racial sensitivity were implemented. In order to make sure the modifications were actively implemented rather than only put on paper, Chief Reynolds took the initiative. The neighborhood became aware of the change. Racial profiling complaints declined, and the people the police served developed a cautious but growing sense of confidence. As a well-known person in the community, Emanuel kept up his dual roles as an advocate and a lawyer. He frequently gave speeches at town hall meetings, discussing his personal story and highlighting the significance of justice and responsibility. His presence served as a constant reminder of the potential for change, and his voice held weight. Emanuel received an invitation to give a speech about civil rights and the value of speaking out against injustice at a nearby high school one evening. Teachers, parents, and kids crowded into the auditorium. Using both his own experience and the longer history of civil rights fights, Emanuel gave a stirring statement. His final words to the youthful crowd were one of optimism and exhortation, urging them to stand up for what's right. One of the young black students approached him after the lecture. "Mr. Adams, I was really impressed by your narrative. To assist others and change the world, I also want to practice law." Emanuel grinned, seeing the tiny child as himself. "It's fantastic. Recall that although this route is noble, it is not simple. Never be afraid to ask for help if you need it." Jack Thompson had time to consider his conduct since he was now unemployed and faced legal ramifications. His reputation was destroyed, and there had been a strong outcry from the public. As part of his legal settlement, he had to go to mandated therapy sessions, which he originally refused but eventually found to be insightful. During a session, a counselor made him face the consequences of his prejudices. "Jack, it took more than one terrible night to justify your conduct. They belonged to a pattern. You must acknowledge the hurt you've done and make an effort to alter those deeply held beliefs." Jack took some time to grasp, but eventually he did. After contacting a support group for ex-law enforcement personnel, he got in touch with other people who had to deal with comparable situations. The group meetings were challenging but healing, enabling Jack to face his history and begin the process of reconstructing his life. Additionally, he worked with at-risk adolescents in community centers as a volunteer, getting personal knowledge of the difficulties they encountered. It was eye-opening to be exposed to many viewpoints. Jack had a broadening perspective on the world and saw the value of justice and empathy. After years of hostility and mistrust, Riverton began to recover. The endeavors to restructure the police force and enhance ties with the community were yielding positive results. This shift was largely attributed to Emanuel's advocacy and Jack's redemption tale, which stood for the potential for growth and peacemaking. There was a resurgence of solidarity, and local companies started to flourish. After declining attendance in previous years, the annual town fair was suddenly humming with activity. People from various walks of life gathered to celebrate their community, laughing, eating, and telling tales. Emanuel saw the happy spectacle from the throng. He was really satisfied that the challenging path he had gone through had resulted in significant transformation. While Riverton was far from ideal, it was moving in the direction of being a more equitable and welcoming community. Chief Reynolds called Emanuel as dusk was falling over the fairgrounds. "Emanuel, I wanted to express my gratitude once more for everything. Your bravery and tenacity allowed for all of this to happen." In response, Emanuel said, Chief, we did it together. This is only the start. Though there is still much to be done, I think we're headed in the right direction." It was then that Emmanuel understood meaningful transformation required a team approach. It takes bravery, persistence, and a readiness to face hard realities. The tale of Riverton served as a monument to the strength of one person banding together to fight for equality and justice. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.